The story of steel giants, Germany's last battleships. In the history of the Kriegsmarine, there were only two warships that the Nazi regime elevated to the level of near mythical symbols. These were the battleships Bismarck and Tirpitz, vessels conceived at a moment when Germany sought to reassert its presence on the world's oceans and challenge the maritime supremacy of Great Britain. They were described as the last knights of the Atlantic, two steel fortresses intended for a duel that fate would ultimately deny them. Nazi propaganda portrayed them as invincible, and for a time that image was not far from reality, because when commissioned, they were among the most formidable ships afloat. In theory, each could stand against any battleship in existence, yet their era was already fading, overtaken by a new age of warfare dominated by aircraft. Both giants would meet their end before the war was over. The birth of a project. Their creation began with the Anglo-German Naval Agreement of 1935, which effectively nullified the strict limitations imposed after World War I. Germany regained the right to build capital ships, even though the treaty formally capped their displacement. German designers, however, had no intention of confining themselves to those limits. They envisioned a new generation of powerful ships capable of projecting force far beyond coastal waters. Under the direction of Hermann Burckhardt, the design team sought a balance of speed, armor, and firepower. Several early drafts were considered before the final concept, the one that became the Bismarck, was approved. Her keel was laid on July 1, 1936, at the Blumenvoss shipyard in Hamburg. By that time, Germany had gained some experience with heavy vessels, the pocket battleships of the Deutschland class and the larger Scharnhorst-class ships. The Bismarck project was intended to surpass them all and narrow the gap between Germany and the great naval powers.
Construction and armor. In silhouette, the Bismarck resembled the Scharnhorst class, but she exceeded it in virtually every respect. Her displacement approached 51,000 tons, and her length exceeded 253 meters. German engineers placed great emphasis on survivability, expecting the ship to operate in harsh northern waters, where combat often occurred at medium ranges. The main armor belt reached up to 320 millimeters, and the decks were protected by up to 360 millimeters of armor. The conning tower carried between 220 and 350 millimeters of protection. This formidable defensive scheme was engineered to withstand punishing hits without compromising combat efficiency. The Bismarck's main battery consisted of 8 380mm guns housed in 4 twin turrets. The Germans chose not to adopt triple turrets, preferring a simpler and more reliable layout. Although the British and Americans were building ships with 406mm guns, the German SKC-34 guns were exceptionally accurate and powerful. Their 1-ton shells reached muzzle velocities of 820 meters per second, capable of penetrating roughly 350 millimeters of armor at distances of around 20 kilometers. Combined with sophisticated fire control systems and highly trained crews, these guns made the Bismarck a dangerous adversary for any battleship. Secondary armament included 6 twin 150mm turrets, while anti-aircraft defenses consisted of 105mm, 37mm, and 20mm guns. Bismarck also carried 6 float planes operated by Luftwaffe personnel, an unusual arrangement for a navy. For a ship of her size, the Bismarck was remarkably fast, capable of reaching 29 knots. Her range exceeded 8,500 nautical miles, making her suitable for long-distance raids on Allied shipping. These operational characteristics reflected the strategic needs of the Kriegsmarine, which understood that Germany could not win a traditional battleship-to-battleship confrontation against the numerically superior Royal Navy. Rather than face the British battle fleet head-on, the Bismarck and Tirpitz were intended to operate as commerce raiders. One powerful ship appearing on transatlantic trade routes could disrupt Britain's supply lines and force the Royal Navy to divert entire task forces to hunt it down. This imbalance, one ship tying up dozens, became a crucial part of German naval strategy. On May 18, 1941, Bismarck and the heavy cruiser Prinz Eugen left port. Their mission was to break into the North Atlantic and strike at Allied merchant traffic. They were soon sighted near Norway, prompting the British to launch an all-out pursuit. At dawn on May 24th in the Denmark Strait, the British battlecruiser Hood and the battleship Prince of Wales engaged the German ships. Within minutes, a German shell ignited the Hood's magazines, and the ship exploded and vanished beneath the waves almost instantly. Only 3 men survived from a crew of over 1,400. This catastrophe galvanized British resolve because the Bismarck now had to be destroyed at any cost. Although Bismarck sustained damage, she attempted to reach occupied France for repairs. But on May 26th, a patrol aircraft, a Catalina, located her. The aircraft carrier Ark Royal launched its outdated but reliable Swordfish torpedo bombers. One torpedo struck Bismarck's rudder, jamming it and making the ship unsteerable. On May 27th, surrounded by superior British forces, Bismarck fought her final battle. The battleships King George V and Rodney, along with several cruisers, poured thousands of shells into the crippled ship.
With her guns silenced and her hull shattered, the crew scuttled the vessel to prevent capture. Bismarck sank into the Atlantic, marking the symbolic end of the battleship era. After Bismarck's destruction, the Tirpitz remained the last major surface threat posed by Germany. Although she rarely ventured into open waters, her mere presence in Norway forced Britain to escort Arctic convoys with large naval forces. This fleet-in-being effect made Tirpitz strategically important despite limited direct action. Beginning in 1942, the British launched repeated operations to disable or destroy her using midget submarines, torpedoes, and bombers. Success came only when the Royal Air Force deployed the enormous Tallboy bombs, each weighing more than 5 tons. On September 15, 1944, during Operation Paravane, a Tallboy struck Tirpitz's bow, leaving her unfit for sea. The ship was moved to Tromsø, where she served as a stationary artillery platform. Then, on November 12, 1944, during Operation Catechism, Royal Air Force Lancaster bombers struck with precision. 3 Tallboys hit the ship, and 2 penetrated her armor, igniting magazine explosions. Tirpitz capsized and sank in less than 10 minutes, taking over 950 crewmen with her. Her destruction eliminated the final surface threat in northern waters and allowed the Royal Navy to redeploy capital ships to the Pacific.